Using the leadership skills I learned in this class, I'm going to turn this empty jar into a working group. I think that my current definition of leadership is pretty much the same as when I first started this class. What I really gained from it was reassurance that I'm not only on the right path, but I'm also further along it than I had previously thought. Here, I'm adding sand enriched with nutrients from another group that I maintained using my leadership skills. My leadership style is very holistic. I like to meticulously provide everything that my group needs, keep a close eye on it, and then make changes as needed, no matter how big or small. But I definitely like to wait until I see some kind of concrete sign that a change is needed or should be anticipated, and make sure not to project my own insecurities or make any assumptions. I know that I definitely like to lead with a gentle hand. It's important to acknowledge the nuance in leading individuals. When there's conflict, whether it's between individuals or conflict happening internally within an individual, for example, a moral conflict with participating in the group, sometimes it's more important to be kind than it is to be right. This is, of course, within the bounds of reaching whatever goal it is in question. The best method of getting there may require more patience than what is convenient. Here, I'm making some careful adjustments to make sure that my environment is just right for my group. This small tuft of grass that I'm adding to the middle of the sand represents the main goal of the group. I feel confident in saying that I have a lot of empathy. I have been told by many people who have seen me grow up, as well as some of my other peers, that I care a lot. I also know that I do really well with confrontation and conflict. While dealing with conflict with someone else, I go into it with a really positive outlook. I always assume that this person that I disagree with knows everything that I do, and then some, so that I must be about to learn a whole lot. I am also very familiar and well versed with the person versus ideology concept when it comes to conflict, so I'm good at compartmentalizing my emotions and not taking things too personally. Even during conflict, we're all just humans trying to do our best. My view of leadership has become more nuanced and complex since the beginning of this semester. Some of what I learned about leadership and its many layers and dimensions scared me a little bit, but other things I learned gave me hope too. It really just made me feel good to be sitting in a class where we were all looking at the same lessons, because some of it, especially the lesson on tolerance, is really important to me. I was glad to see that something that I associate with being very important in leadership was actually just as relevant as I'd hoped. As more and more elements of the group are added, small adjustments have to be made to make sure that the main goal of the group is still feasible. During that same lesson, I also felt very reassured as a leader that I had done a substantial amount of work internally to be a tolerant leader. Being biracial and having grown up in a very diverse area, this didn't really surprise me, but it was still very reassuring to have gone over it. As a career path, I have decided that I want to go into local politics to make positive environmental change. This is a very concrete leadership role, and the closer I get to it, the more intimidating and less realistic it feels for me. My biggest obstacle I still have to overcome is my anxiety and depression that I have developed negative coping mechanisms for as a result from trauma. My goal for myself is to be able to find a balance and mediate the amount of weight I put on my shoulders while I continue to work through my habits and internal conflicts. I know that I am still in a very early stage of my life and my career, and I feel hopeful that I will be able to continue to get better and see myself get closer and closer to my goal. I know that it is probably not realistic for me to think that I will get as far as I would want to, but I've made a promise to myself that I'm going to get as far as I can. The giant duckweed I'm adding represents a safety net for the group. As time goes on, water will want to evaporate and leave the jar. The duckweed not only cleans the water, but it also will help keep the water inside the jar to keep the group running and healthy. A period of time must pass for the water to settle and the water to become less murky. It also leaves space for the tuft of grass to grow. The clear water represents a stable environment for the group, which means that some risks can be taken. These are called seed shrimp. They are the members of our group who are going to maintain everything inside. They can only be added once the leader has created a stable environment with a strong structure of leadership for them to reach their goal in and grow the grass.